Okay, so we'll technically wait till the official start time. Fine.
Oh, you have a sleeping second hand.
Accurate.
Okay. Are we online with the Zoom and stuff?
Yeah, I did.
6:59.
I see TV is on, that clock is incorrect. Behind you, the clock on the screen is incorrect.
There it is, 777.
Good to go?
We are good to go.
All right, we can call to order. 7 o'clock on November 14th, 2023. First thing on the agenda is public comment. No one's present here in the room. Anyone online?
No.
Okay. So, closing that, the rest of the agenda for the day is the ad hoc library landscape, reviewing the collection policy. The collection request, reports for costs, a borrowing policy, financial report, director's report, minutes. So, update on the ad hoc library landscape committee and the meeting that was, I believe, last Thursday.
We had a great turnout. We had one person. Not including Jay Susie, who's on the committee, so I think very people too.
Yep. His wife joined via Zoom.
You're right.
Not to join.
So it was kind of underwhelming, unfortunately. We expected more people. I don't know whether people weren't aware of exactly what we were thinking of doing, and therefore didn't really, maybe they thought I had to do it on mowing the lawn more, or I don't know, something like that. But anyway, it was really, we actually ended fairly early. We had planned to be there for 8:30, and I think we did it before 8 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quick.
So, so there wasn't really much additional information or input offered, unfortunately. So
Is anything done for notice different for the residents or just the notice that was like outlined?
It was-
Reposted?
something was mailed, I believe.
Yeah.
To 100 different households.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if people didn't read that stuff or what the story was, but anyway. I don't think there's much else to add, is there anything?
No, but one of the things that came out from it, I'll see if I can do this from here. Can you share my screen? Yeah, it's not doing it. Oh, for crying out loud, it doesn't work this way. Never mind. And stop sharing. Or maybe if I drag it over. No, it's not gonna let me. I was gonna be clever and share a screen. That's something that we have trouble doing, by the way, if we're doing this Zoom method. I can't share it. Megan might be able to. We have a new website page. You wanna see if you can try
This one?
sharing it? Yes. Work? You share it? There we go. Right, so I can share. Yeah, so we created this page, which is, it's under about, and it just kind of gives the history, it links to everything that we have. So one links to the town website that has the committee listed. It shows a timeline of what we have done, and back to the meeting last week. Sorry about that. And then right underneath that is a community survey coming soon. We don't have that yet, but we're working on it. We link to the landscape meeting agendas and town meeting minutes, and then as much as we can for the, we have a copy of the presentation that Gina made, Dr. Pliowski made to the to you guys in June, a copy of those meeting minutes and a copy of the RCTV meeting recording. Same thing for the September 11th meeting where we talked about engaging activitas. And then we have the presentation and recording from the November 9th meeting, we'll put up the meeting minutes once they've been approved by the board. So we'll just kind of keep adding to that, like once, every time that we have. And add it with the QR code and, I guess we should probably add a, contact RDG admin or something for more information. So, yeah, so that was helpful, I think, to remind us. So that way we can point staff to that page. I mean, not staff, we can point neighbors to that page. Some of the pictures were from their.
We also had that with, Activitas, I think since our last meeting, is that right?
Can't remember. It was October 12th, so it was probably right around our last meeting.
Yeah, they're in the process of putting together the survey and, they're into the work to get things sort of rolling, so.
Right, and then the goal of last Thursday was community feedback to feed into the survey, and so now
Activitas people were
we're present.
present, not physically present, but online present.
Right.
So they heard what was said.
It was specifically for neighbors,
Right.
so.
But their presentation that they had for that night is up there.
Yes, we can email it to anybody.
I would guess after the survey and after Activitas has some plans, we probably meet with the neighbors again.
Yeah,
I
maybe
would
we can
guess.
do something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And people may be a little bit more aware at that point as well.
Okay.
All you can do is send the notice.
Yeah, they can come.
Yeah, you can
We did check it, got into somebody's mail.
update it. And it was also posted in other places, so it wasn't just the letter. Okay. Anything else on that subject? Any questions or anything else? Okay. Hearing none, moving on, we have a collection request, Toys for Tots and House of Hope.
So we had two different collection requests, one for Toys for Tots, which we've allowed for the past few years, and it would start essentially right away. They would pick up on December 8th, and we're just asking if you would be willing to allow us to have that donation box here again. And then House, don't have that.
I have that was included in the packet.
Yes.
The House of Hope, it's from the RMHS Interact Club. They would like to collect homeless families in Massachusetts. And that would run basically from, I believe, like tomorrow, whenever they could get permission through the 15th. So that would be an extra week there. The only not complex, but the only things we do have is the Friends do their book sale, collection books. I think they said it was
The fourth.
the 4th through the 8th or something
Yeah.
like that. So, and actually by then the Festival of Trees thing will be down because the Festival of Trees thing goes away. That's just an advertisement that we put up, not collecting anything. And then the only other thing just to remind you is that we have sort of an outstanding, no specific end date. I think for collecting glasses in the Health Nook. So we are still continuing to collect that. The Lions have been very appreciative and have actually received a fair number. They've had to empty the box a couple times, so. But it's not like, that's not how people have to go up to the reference desk and into the Nook to drop those off, and they're small, so.
Well,
Where do these donation boxes go? Like, are they gonna all be in the front?
Yeah,
Oh,
we'd have
yeah.
at least one in the foyer, and depending on whether or not the Friends were, probably the Toys for Tot would be right in the foyer where the Festival of Trees is, and then the other one would go up into the, across from the circulation desk.
and when is the Festival of Trees this year?
December 1st, I think, or something, or December 2nd and 3rd, maybe. It's usually the first weekend in December. December 1st is a Friday.
Second, third, and fourth, maybe. Is it 3 days?
No, it's just Saturday and Sunday.
Saturdays.
They set up Friday and then they have it all day Saturday and Sunday. Well, as long as the space is there, I suppose.
Yes, it's the 2nd and 3rd.
Do people come in and then clear them out and then move them to another area if there's too many in front, or how?
Yes, I have a contact at the fire department for the Toys for Tots, and so I just let them know, like, come get them.
And the same with this group, they would just be coming regularly to see, or?
I assume they would. And we have their contact as well.
It's their high school students, so. But I don't think it'll be a ton of things, and I'm sure we've done before is, you know, put the box in the staff lounge or something while we're waiting,
Yeah, just
so.
make sure there's nothing to do with it. Okay, any questions or anything, or?
As long as it's, looks like they have multiple spots on, I just didn't, I was afraid it would just be a giant
Mhm,
box.
yeah.
when you walked in.
Yeah.
As long as you have multiple spots, I'm good.
Okay.
Motion, anybody?
Yeah. Motion,
Motion to approve both, Houses of Hope and Toys for Tots, for what they've requested. Can't remember what Toys for Tots was, but Houses of Hope through 12/15.
we have a second. I guess we'll pause for the benefit. So we got two requests for collections at the front. One for Toys for Tots, has been traditionally done for years. Second is Houses of Hope, which is collecting clothing and other items for homeless population, that would be running from whenever they get approval through mid-December. And would be in the front and would be cleaned out, so it's not, if they have a lot of stuff, would be available. And the Festival of Trees advertisement will obviously come down after the festival. So we have a motion to allow that has been seconded. Do you have any questions before we?
And the question would be, you all are confident there's enough room for everything?
Yeah. Yeah, it does require a little teeny bit of juggling, but we can do it.
Great. No problem.
All in favor? Carries 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, policy review, borrowing policy, fines and fees policy. AKA, I guess we're not worried about people taking out CDs anymore.
Yeah, so Michelle and Jamie went through this, I don't know if you want to kind of go over. It was very small, they were very small.
I only really focused on the library of things part.
Yeah, that's
so-
okay, it's really just getting rid of the 20 CDs and DVDs, I wouldn't be surprised to see other restrictions, checkout limits fading away as
Mhm.
those collections grow bigger. And then, the library of things, and then, in general, we're just sort of getting rid of these equipment agreements. They don't really serve any purpose, then it ends up creating paper trails that we have to shred, and, basically, we're treating pretty much everything as by the way, the replacement cost is $50 versus $5, so.
That was my only question,
Yeah.
because I know when I've taken something out before, it was
Yes.
a little more paperwork involved, but I'm guessing we haven't had issues with things.
No,
No, the only thing that what we are gonna do and what we've continued to do in the, with the adult library of things collection, is we include the cost. Because we did have an issue with the Go and Grow kits up in the children's room where someone didn't realize the cost and there was, a bit of, they were upset because of the charge. But basically it was like, once they returned it, that fine was gone. But if something's broken, we just want people to be aware of how much it would cost for a replacement. And so that is included within, there's like a guideline sheet that when you borrow it, that lists it. So just to make sure that people are aware and very transparent.
Is there any preference given to Reading residents? So if, like, I know you've talked about the Oculus having really long wait lists.
Yeah.
And so is it just the wait list is the wait list, or is there any preference for Reading residents?
I don't believe that you can in Evergreen have it, their preference be for Reading residents. We removed the residency requirement for library of things. But they do have to pick them up here. So that is the only requirement that we allow, or that we have, and then we just purchased 2 more Oculuses, so now we have 3. So hopefully that will make that list go down. The majority of the people that do check them out are Reading residents because they have to come here to get them.
Yeah. The choice is, it's a little bit binary, it's a little limited by our system, is to either have it restricted holds restricted to library residents or have it open, and once it's open, there's no privacy in the evergreen. It's a little bit different. I think we have a little more flexibility in things like overdrive, with overdrive advantage, but evergreen itself, our normal physical collection, the only way we can prioritize Reading residents is not allow their libraries to use it. Most libraries are lending things to anyone who wants them, basically.
And there's a reference to the fines and fees at the bottom. That's just.
There were no changes to the fines and fees because they're so minimal.
The only thing I questioned about was it said it was amended in the future, like December.
Oops, what did I say? Oh, yes, because we don't, yeah, we review it today and then we amend it, and we actually do it. I'll add, so not for December, but probably for next October/November. When we went through this process, it is unusual to have your fees and fees policy separate from your borrowing policy. So one of the things we might do next year as we get our act together is to really combine that. The other part of, this is part of what the terminology would be, circulation policies. We have procedures and guidelines for library cards. We do not have an adopted library card policy. It's always just sort of been, that's kind of the way we do it. So one of the things I think we would look for next year, and it's gotten a little bit more complicated because of online card registration. You're now we're gonna be starting with this Keep You that's through Noble and allows people to register. They don't have to have a physical card. And there's different age implications and restrictions with which it only allows you to access digital stuff. If you actually want to go check out something physical, you have to take your online card and go to the library. And then the individual library has the ability to impose their own policies on that. So, you know, bringing in this digital element, and then, you know, we don't have a particular policy. So it might be worth kind of revisiting the whole bundle of circulation policies, which would include the actual library card policy, as well as the borrowing and fines and fees combined. So that might, you know, that would still be two policies. We would just kind of move forward with that. I don't see a real urgency to change, you know, to work towards the borrowing policy. The newest policy we'll probably be looking at a little bit later as a privacy policy, which will be an expansion on our existing picking up items on reserve policy. So it's just something to consider for a future meeting when and if you want to. Another piece that we might discuss in the future, but we're just not quite ready to cut the cord on, is right now, one of the things that is limited to Reading residents is our museum pass program. It used to be that all the museums required that. Less passes are doing that. So we think that I think Valerie looked around at some other libraries, and some other libraries have opened that up to. So if you go to Stoneham, you know, you come here and our children's museum passes out, but Stoneham has it. If Stoneham lends it to non-residents, you could go over there and get it. So it's more like a reciprocal borrowing process. But I think that we decided that needs a little more research, and we just want to make sure that we contact each of our museum pass folks, providers, to make sure that we're not violating anything. So I think after COVID, a lot of places were like, sure, just bring the people in, you know, however you can get them here.
Yeah.
If you're willing to pay for a season's pass and you can, you know, and you can get it out and you can get somebody using it every single week, then they would love that. So I think it's a little bit of that, but it's been a while since some of us have signed or really looked at the fine print on some of those agreements.
But I would also look from your report, you always have a pretty healthy number of library passes going out. And I feel like every time I'm here, somebody's getting another library
They do.
museum pass.
They're, yeah,
So I want to make sure that we're not,
yeah,
that it's still available. and
for the
Reading
Reading
residents.
residents, yeah.
Because it's, you know, the last 2
Yes, that's
months,
why I
it's been
think
almost 120.
we want to
passes.
look at those a little bit more, and maybe look at some of the numbers a little bit more, but it's when we look at those barriers of, you know, the more, if other libraries are sharing, should we share? that kind of thing. So that's how we ended up with library things. It used to be video games, video games were only at the library that owned the video games, but then enough libraries got them and they could send them back and forth. So it's just needs a little more research, so.
Any other questions on the suggested revisions to the borrowing policy or other aspects of the borrowing policy?
All right.
Hearing none, move on to the financial report.
Hooray, hooray. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a picture, it's not the school committee, you guys don't have to vote on anything, but I do like to, before we present this to the select board, get let you know where we're sitting with the FY20, the next year's, level 1 budget. There are, after we do this level 1 budget, then the town manager takes the school budget. We'll do a presentation in December, the town manager or his designee or the assistant town manager, whoever it is at that time, will provide a balanced budget to FinCom by late January, early February. I think that's actually considered level 3 budget. FinCom approves the level 4 budget, and that's usually in February, March, and then April town meeting, level 5, and that's what's approved. The goal is to, present something that's not going to change too much. I originally was thinking about a slightly smaller, ever so slightly smaller by like $6,000 budget, but I'll kind of walk you through what we have. It's a 2.2183,700 overall budget of increase of 3.7%. FinCom has given guidance for an overall 4% increase. This is a little bit less than that, but a lot of this depends on how the union contract negotiations end up because they're still finishing those up. If those end up a lot higher, we'll have to figure something out. But right now, the town manager has recommended a step and a 1.25% COLA for all non-union salaries. My guess is that if we have to go down, you would see something like just a step or just a step in a 1% or 0.75% COLA. That would easily bring a lot of these numbers down. So basically the whole salary number would just shift down a little bit. It also, the other driver is obviously to maintain our state certification eligibility for state aid. And there's also increased programming expenses and I call it community programming and training. That's probably the biggest jump that I don't have the detail for you to see, but it goes to the programming. I guess it's not really outlined here, but it will be for the select board regarding the community programming. I'm calling it for the Office of Equity. Albert, who's actually away at a conference this week and will probably join us in December, hopefully, did present to the select board November 7th. Did a great job. They were very impressed with him. And one of the comments I did receive at that meeting was, so, what does the Office of Equity need for money, for expenses, not just salary? So I talked with Fidel and it's like, great. So I increased some of our programming expenses because that way it's earmarking it, sort of saying, if this were to ever leave, this is the amount that I would take away from our budget, like a small percentage for professional development, a small percentage for supplies, and a chunk from programming. And it's based on the fact that there was, say, 11,500. It's actually probably closer to $12,000 spent on community and cultural programming. We offset that by $4,000 grants. So that's the biggest change. It's like 163% increase it's actually $6,500. I did return some of the professional development, kind of tweak that up again, and brought up some of the supplies. But in all honesty, it's a $20,000 increase. Overall, it's a $20,000 increase, and that's including not 20,000. I'm sorry. the expenses is a $20,000 increase in expenses, overall, not just, so it might look like expenses going up and whatever going up a huge amount, but it's not, it's $20,000. Any questions or concerns about the budget?
I'm wondering why, I'm looking under the paragraph under the primary drivers for this budget. I'm
Yep.
just curious why moving the paraprofessional position from collection services to public services affects the budget.
It doesn't affect the budget, the numbers just look wonky. Meaning, if you put them all together, it's still only a 3, it's just that, this is down 5.4%. Like, and if I kept it the way it is, I think overall everything would be like a 2 point something. It would be a very small increase in general.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, but just, when you see numbers that are a little higher than this and higher and lower than that, people will often,
Got it.
what about that?
Thank you.
FY 24, we're running a little under on salaries, it's at 5%.
Yeah.
Is that just down to positions or?
Are we fully staffed at this point?
Yes, we are.
Cool.
We are fully staffed as of Monday, including our team volunteers,
As of Monday that went by or the Monday that's coming
the
up?
past
All
Monday.
right.
Sarah was gonna stop by.
Yeah.
Is she doing the
Yeah,
Yeah, she has time, she'll come by.
she's right over there.
But I'll get to that in a minute, yeah. All right, so I'll just move on. If there's no questions about next year's budget, I will be filing the action plan, which is the final, action plan, not based on our FY 21 to 25 strategic plan. I'll be filing that, in December, but it's all, there's really nothing changed. We're just doing the same, working from the same strategic plan. So again, the budget's running under by about, what did I say there, 5% as of the last check. We had some nice donations. Most of them were in memory of Mary Hubbard Blake. And Megan's been great about making sure that we can run reports and things about from our donations. Anything about financials? I'm curious. We will have a warrant next week. It was all messed up because of the Tuesday meetings and this, whatever, so that's why you don't have a warrant tonight. But there will be one, this Friday? Yeah, there'll be one this Friday, right, available Thursday afternoon, I should say, available for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that gets us away from the Thanksgiving week, so it'll be nice. Things look good. Everything's up, basically, pretty much. Visitors, we had a lot of visitors in October. We're still working on finding ways to involve volunteers. Michelle did an experiment with some young adults and teenager volunteers. They're somewhat hard to wrangle sometimes, but we do have some strong, we're keeping up with the homebound deliveries and all of that. So all the things that were absolutely essential for volunteers are felt. Sort of new and emerging on the facilities and operations, something that's not included in your report. We've had 2 interactions with our public safety in the last 3 or 4 weeks. First of all, a couple weeks ago, Friday, this past Friday, the previous Friday, November 2nd or 3rd, we had an accidental pressing of one of the panic buttons. So we figured out how the panic buttons work. And then that was in my office. And she's like, why are there police cars outside the building? And I'm like, good question. So I won't go into all of the details, but we did learn a lot from the process. We are going to be reviewing, we're meeting with the deputy chief. We're going to be going over our emergency response guide and updating that. And then coincidentally, Monday, we had, was it Monday?
It was yesterday,
It was yesterday.
which is Monday, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I don't know what day it is, I'm sorry, it's Wednesday. We had the CO2 monitor, the carbon monoxide, not carbon monoxide monitor on the boiler in the basement. Went off, so there was a problem with the boiler. So, that's all involved facilities, it involved the fire department, which also rolled up the police department. We did have to evacuate the building. Chair Pat was here, so he got to see that in firsthand. We did also, we had to go through and look at how we do our evacuations, and we noticed a few gaps in our procedures there. So I think we'll be looking at that, and, if you ever, want to talk about or review the emergency response guides, I can share that some with you. It's not something we're doing in public. But it is something that if you're interested in, I'm happy to chat with you about it. I think I mentioned our staff day. I mean, we didn't, we had our staff day. And we had an ergonomics consultant, and that person came and did a lot. I mean, we worked at all the public service desks. One of the most challenging things about our service desks is that people of different sizes and shapes must take different shifts there. So it was really helpful. We'll be applying for a grant to get different types of monitor arms and different types of keyboards and different, feet things to help us stay healthy. Our Health Nook, which we've been talking about, and the health resource kiosks are launched. We've had some really great response. We've noticed a real uptick in the access to our health resources. The public health director, a day was in, and he was looking at that and was very impressed with it and wants to send people there. But the kiosk that's in there is an iPad, and it's in a standing kiosk. There's another one that's going to be that goes on the table, and it has it takes you directly to all of our health resources, online resources. So Susan's been doing some great programming. She has a variety of programming coming up, and she's been doing a lot of outreach to community groups to connect with them. Related to that, in the reading room, and then in the children's room, you'll be able to see the nice new catalog kiosks we have. And I just wanted to shout out to Michelle, because this has been a long project.
2 years.
Yeah, it's been a long project because it's making sure you find the right equipment.
Yeah.
And then procuring the iPads and locking them down and getting facilities, getting IT. It's a lot of moving parts. It sounds like simple, like something you could just nail to your wall, but it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. The licenses and setting up business accounts and things like that. So it was a lot of work. So, but now that we've done it, maybe we'll just add iPads to everything because we know how to do it now. But they're very easy to use, and they tilt so that if you are not as tall or perhaps seated in a wheelchair, you can tilt it so that you can access it much easier. Whereas the others, there was just no way you could see them because they were flat against the wall. And then annual museum report, for whatever reason, I seem to do it in November. But as Andrew mentioned, they're going up. They're not quite where they were before COVID, but they're definitely swinging back. And I just was really excited this year that we were able to add Garden in the Woods, and then most recently Battleship Cove, which if you haven't been there, Cherry, I don't know if you want to share what you shared with me.
Yeah, the Battleship Cove was pretty much the work and the efforts of a guy who was been running for decades, Ed Palmer. And he worked on that for years to get that established for the USS Massachusetts to be docked here. And I would guess he spent probably 5 or 10 years working on that, making sure that it happened, because he served on it during World War II. And the ship was on the name Big Bertha. And so I think that writing connection is kind of neat. So a couple of his kids live in town, or used to. I think they still do. So there's a strong writing connection to that.
Well, and I know that the scout trip used to, I don't know if they still do, but most of the scout trips used to spend some time down there. I sent Jocelyn, our local history librarian, onto this. Sherry let me know, so she's busy thinking up cool ways to promote. I'm sure there's something in our Chronicle database that she could look up that might mention Mr. Palmer, might mention it, so.
This would also be, Megan Ron, name wrong, as an Autumn Hendricks or
Yeah.
Hendrickson that's doing like World War II.
Oh, yeah,
research.
Yeah,
Be right in her wheelhouse.
yeah,
as
we
well.
had one last, she gave a talk last month, I think it was, and she had a really good turnout. So. But, you know, museum passes is something unique to libraries and not unique to libraries, but it's something that libraries do, and it's really a great, it's really a great resource and anything we can do to promote it. Desiree and Michelle work really hard to promote those. Have you go to the studio? It's still there, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
think the artwork's still
Yeah,
there.
the artwork is still there. So, Eileen Barrett, who's a former employee, Don Fulford, and Judy Terrazano, who are both current employees. We have a whole little artwork display. So, you know, maybe people will start contributing more art, but it's kind of nice to have the local news.
Yeah.
Dawn had, and I think Eileen had their artwork on display at Town Hall. Town Hall that works with the Reading Art Association to get displays up there. So we decided to join that bandwagon and start, you know, displaying art of local folks in this case. So please stop by and give that a look. Also, it feels like it was ages ago, but it wasn't. It was October 30th. Andrea really just gave some great testimony at the legislative hearing. The link is there if you want to watch it. She started 2 bills that address the plans and the freedom to reach. She did an excellent job. If you watch it, you'll also hear some stories and experiences from other librarians, including school librarians. And I think it's really important legislation. Michelle was there as, well, personal interest, but also as the president of MLA. So I think, it's worth watching. It's something that is very important to public libraries and school libraries in the state. Especially when you look at statistics of legislation that bills are, that's not necessarily being passed, but that are being brought in states across the nation. So it's pretty important. Highlights are the highlights. Oh yeah, there's something with Autumn. She had 25 attendees. Jocelyn actually hosted a group of Simmons University students who are working on our course, so she's looking for that. We have started our 6th grade tours. Did we get all of Parker done?
I think so.
I think we finished Parker, and I think Coolidge is gonna come back in the spring. So, Michelle is working to try and get some funding to purchase the Lyric assisted reader, and it would go in our library thing, so it's not something that would stay here. So if you have any questions about that, talk to Michelle. Susie's been here for 8 years, although I always like to call out that Susie was also a friend of the library and president of Friends for many years before that. So we love having her work for us. And Miss Sarah Kelso, who's across the street, started on Monday. She does complete our whole staffing for now. And then the Friends supported our staff development day. So the last thing I just wanted to mention was this opportunity. Because we're running a little bit under in our salaries, I've been talking with Fidel and with Sean and with Albert about ways to get Albert some support. The original idea was an internship, and frankly, we just don't have enough. We don't have, that takes a lot more organization and reaching out to schools and this and that. So we have been approached by a recent college graduate who is very interested in DEI work and was actually had no intention of asking for any type of work, but actually came to me with a proposed series of programs about disabilities. And I was like, well, of course we would pay you, we pay our presenters for the subject matter expertise, just, just the right thing to do. Then we got to talking, and then I started talking with Albert about something else, and we may be able to, we're working on a plan to have really just it's a temporary position. It would be temporary, part-time, not to exceed a certain number of hours, not to exceed a certain amount of money. And, I've sent the job description over, it'll get posted on the town website. We'll ask this person to apply, suppose we could get other applications. But the information would basically help the director of equity with things like programming. I would not necessarily have to supervise this person, Albert would take care of all of that. We also talked about you know, it's a big building, they don't have a lot of workspace, maybe the person could work a few hours hybrid, you know, remote. But, you know, be there for those bigger events like the Martin Luther King Day celebration that's coming up and things like that. So, with the town manager approval of his position on the seasonal chart, it'd be the equivalent of like our library clerk, and with the HR. If HR can give it the blessing in terms of the legality of everything, it's something we can fit into the FY '24 budget. It is not in any way whatsoever built into an FY '25 budget. I think the expectation is that if we could do something for FY '25, we'd either have a grant or be working with colleges or universities that would do the stipend, which is usually what happens. You know, or it would not necessarily be it wouldn't necessarily be a paid internship, so it's a test case for an internship program.
The timeline for the town approval.
Oh, I'm just waiting, yeah, like I was hoping to get it this week, and get it posted and get through the process ASAP. Yeah, like I said, it's on the seasonal chart, it's not on the regular chart, it's the select board and the compensation chart, it's the town manager oversees the seasonal chart. Our pages are on the seasonal chart, Lisa Ang, who's our library clerk, she's on the seasonal chart.
Just remember from Sudesh's schedule, January is busy.
It's usually, that's why, that's a little bit of the rush, just to have a pair of hands to be, you know, like Martin Luther King Day, just running around back and forth, making phone calls. That kind of thing. Picking up supplies. Questions with that? That's kind of it. That's pretty much all I have for the director's report. It was a very quick month. I don't know why. It was very, very busy. It's Neela, the people at Neela, we had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a good crew at Mila. Good experience, anything reporting back.
Yeah,
From the last warning, there's a bunch of Milas.
yeah. I had a great report from Kate. I think a lot of what we're seeing is, you know, some reasons to go to conferences is to realize that you're doing a pretty good job of where you are. There was some inspiration I've heard, and Megan McCabe went.
Yeah, I went to,
Yeah,
and I didn't do a report.
you did do a report, but you're the only person. But Megan McCabe, yeah. So and Megan White went, and so we're still waiting for some of those reports. But usually it's they had some great ideas. But I also heard a lot of, yeah, we're already doing that, so that's sort of nice. But then I think it's also networking. So, you know, for Megan McCabe, she's sort of new to the group, so.
I walked around with her a lot and is
Yeah.
introducing her to different people
Yeah.
and.
Our next big conference is Public Library Association, PLA, which is happening, it's actually later this year, it's usually earlier, it's in April, it's in Ohio, and Catherine Jeffrens Canal and Andrea will go to that. And then May is Mass Library Association, and then maybe a couple things in between there, so.
There's definitely help.
MLA is gonna be in Springfield,
No, it's gonna be in Framingham.
Framingham,
We'll get excited.
so.
So, not quite so far.
Garden in the woods. in the past.
There you go, yeah,
That's right.
it's amazing.
That's something interesting on TV tonight. But it's a Marlboro Library has these little booths that where parents can work with a computer. And then there's this little thing beside it for a baby.
Oh my gosh.
It looked like a really great, I think they're called workstations, but people could bring, you know, small children in, and I don't think you can bring a toddler exactly, but if you had a baby and you wanted to get out of the house for a while and bring a child with you, didn't need childcare. They look very neat actually, and they showed a couple of people using them, and we might want to look into that.
Marlboro, Massachusetts.
Yes,
Do they just have a renovation?
They might have.
it's on WBZ tonight.
think
And the product is also made in this country, I think it was made in Michigan or somewhere. Well, it's an American-made product as well. I think it's also probably geared for, not just library, but
I was just gonna say that. We're looking at Civic Plus, Civic Plus for our new website. And we were just talking about it today, and that's the Marlborough Public Library uses it, and it's very cool.
Why, what's going on with the lockers?
I don't know.
This weekend, there was an out of office, out of service.
Oh, that was it, our thing was down, was that because
I think it has something to do with the server connection. I don't have an update. I don't know what's going on with it, but I know last week
Okay,
it was just, there was no connection with the server. and
so
they were
IT,
having-
is that IT?
No, it's not. They were having Biblioteca come out, and because I don't know what day it is, I don't know if this was last week, but if you came this week and it was still down.
Yeah, there was like a handwritten sign saying out of service
Okay,
on the lockers, so I just was curious what was going on.
I will.
it was definitely Biblioteca. I don't like that there was a handwritten sign.
I don't think it was- is that Kath, is Kath working on that with Val?
With Valerie, yeah.
And is the return box closed on long weekends because it gets too full?
Yes, yeah, so and it's not all, yes, actually, it is the long weekends, so, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, and then this one, it just gets
Okay,
overflowing.
and there's no way that once it's full, it just
No, it's,
shuts or some, I just feel like, and I was, this was part of my weekend as well, but I feel like, you use weekends for catch up.
Yeah,
that's
I think a
true.
lot of people do, and
Yeah.
so if you've been driving around with a
Yeah.
book in your car for a while, you have a long weekend, you're like, I'm gonna get my stuff done.
I
So-
would say for this type of, go ahead.
So what happens is that, so you could either, they could take away the box completely and let all the books fall on the ground. Because basically they have to have somebody come in and, two people come in and empty it.
Yeah.
And it really has to do with timing, like, so you would need to have somebody maybe come in like 2 times during
At the end of each day.
Yeah,
So even though the library's closed, you need to have somebody come in each day.
yes,
right.
yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
Just for a couple, and we've done, and we do that.
yes.
We do that on regular one-day holidays. We're just rarely closed for 2 days in a row.
yeah,
So, like, cause we know we can handle one day, we're closed Sundays during some, so, or whatever, during the, whatever month. So we know that if it's just Columbus Day or if it's just Thanksgiving, we're good. It's when there's 2 days that it gets a little overloaded. I mean, we could try, I mean, I don't know when this will happen again, cause it was very rare that it's very rare. So
It will
it's only-
happen again.
It's just
with
Memorial Day and Labor Day. We definitely close it for those weekends, but
Yeah.
those are often travel weekends, so we've never
Yeah.
really had an issue.
And this one was a weird one because some places were open on Friday, so it could also be confusing.
Friday.
for,
Yeah.
Yeah.
patrons.
yeah, some were Fridays, yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying, Lynette, and, maybe something we can look at a little closer. Honestly, could we have had someone come in on Friday at 5 o'clock? Probably. We just, we just, overtime. And, or whatever holiday time. And then, we could have had someone come in on, either come in early Sunday or coming in on Saturday, for just a couple hours. I mean, we do often have people who are willing to do that for the extra pay. But again, if it was just the single Monday or the single Thursday, we wouldn't have. we wouldn't
Right,
have.
okay. Okay,
And we did review, actually, because it brought up, we will close at 1 on Thanksgiving, day before Thanksgiving, closed all day Thanksgiving, but open on Friday. We're closed the Sunday of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, because we only would have been open 1 to 5, and that's pretty late in the day.
Yeah.
And we will be closed on those Mondays, for the holidays. Again, that only happens every 7 years, but,
All right, sounds good. I did watch Andrea's testimony. I didn't watch the whole thing, and she did fantastic. Um, I have it queued up to watch the rest. It's like a long So,
There was something about agritourism too, so you can.
You don't even have to skip it. Basically, they had to sit through the entire testimony. And so at like 12:45, these two men that were right in front of me got up and they spoke about having, I don't know what, it was something with better
It's like
tourism.
having, yeah, it's like having, your farms open and your,
I think that's
your
great.
winery open and things like that, so yeah. You're growing things and making things, it's very interesting, yeah.
I'll put on the list, but I did jump around until I saw her and
Yeah.
went back. And it was very clear, very succinct, very compelling.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we move on to the minutes. The next agenda item from do 10/2023. The draft minutes are in the packets. Does anyone have any questions, comments, edits?
Third paragraph in section B, programs, collections and services, it starts off with Mr. Lannon.
That's all right.
Might become confusion.
Where you go, Heather?
Actually, I also noticed the word fall is capitalized a couple of times.
Oh, in the fall?
Yeah.
The fall, cause it's not.
Fall, really down.
You probably correct that. This means you don't sign them tonight or get to come back and sign them.
Or you could just look at.
I would say that actually, I've read a bunch of minutes and I would say that our minutes are by far the most correct. Grammatically correct. In general,
As they should be.
as they should be. From
Being alive.
Anything else? There a motion?
No, we accept the minutes as amended.
Seconded, all in favor? Carries, thank you. Future agenda items, beyond what, ones that have already come up, I guess, during the day, during the meeting.
Anything? Is scuttlebutt, anything anyone wants to make sure we address at a future meeting?
Whenever there's, a transition plan for Fidel, I love it if you could share
Yeah.
it with us so that we understand what support there's gonna be for you through his transition.
Sure. I do know that they have decided there will be a screening committee, hiring committee. They are meeting, the week after Thanksgiving to select the, residents. It'll be the same makeup. So there will be a couple seats for staff. I don't know who that will be, but the staff, whoever they are, have to live in Reading, so they'll have to pick somebody. And then, they'll go through that process. They're using the same, consultant that hired Fidel. It's a great guy, Bernie Lynch, and I will definitely let you know what the process is. They won't, with the holidays and everything, it's even moving as fast as they can, it's still gonna be, at least in some place, this person might have to give 2 months notice, so.
Do we know when Fidel is leaving?
January, he starts in Chelsea, January 1st.
Okay.
But he has closed a lot of, his goal is to close all the union negotiations, and he's got a good plan. I feel the budget's gonna be in a really good place, I think, so.
And who will be acting in this place?
That hasn't been voted, they voted to that there will be an acting. It'll likely be the assistant town manager, Matt Canales. So,
I guess another future item is, a meet and greet for Albert. He was interested in coming to one of our meetings.
yes,
Just with travel, so.
Yeah.
Maybe in December.
yeah, maybe in December, and December will also be the the winter programming update. So, just better remind Andre.
Is that December, January, and February?
That is December, January, and February, yes. Yeah, so in October, they did 66 programs. Just sort of up from their normal 45 and 50, where I'm always telling them to reduce the number of programs. But they did 66 programs.
Clearly, they don't listen to you.
Clearly, I have a really good influence. But I think that's why it just flew by. There were just so many things happening, so. So that was including Columbus Day, including being closed for a day, for a staff day, they did 66 programs.
Wow.
People are
I
amazing.
remember being tired just listening back.
I
to
know.
the presentation.
I know, it's like, it's like,
And good attendance, I mean, the
And-
autumn's attendance
Yeah,
was good
yeah,
across the hall
yeah,
tonight, looks
yeah.
like, turned out good
yeah,
attendance.
it is, they do, it's, yeah. So it's good.
Excellent. Anything else?
No.
Motion to
Adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? Yeah. Excellent. And as I slid the phone, congratulations to the Reading field team. They
Yay.
won and they're going on to the.
And you should.
Good.
I think, another